When scientists realized what made these tunnels, the mystery had only just begun. In Brazil, near the border of Bolivia, scientists discovered massive caves. When they realized these enormous caves weren't made by geological processes, they started to wonder what kind of creature made them. The holes are large enough for an average-sized adult male to stand up in, so whatever it was, it had to be gigantic. Deep within the Amazon, there is a Brazilian state called Rondônia. Rondônia is known for its vast rainforests, making it one of the densest areas in the region. Rondônia is where scientists discovered that the large caves were actually more like giant caverns that were almost tunnel-like. In fact, these caverns stretched nearly 2,000 feet into the ground. Scientists knew that these caves were unique because they had many different characteristics than the naturally carved caves nearby. The floors were smooth and flat, while the walls were curved. They also found mysterious marks all over the walls, which really puzzled them. The markings really stumped researchers because they realized they couldn't have been made by any known tools. Upon closer examination, it finally dawned on them what created the markings. The only thing that could have created them was a large clawed animal. The now extinct creature must have been massive to be making those size gouges. Of course, the idea that a giant clawed creature previously unknown to man could have made those caves wasn't a solid conclusion. They still had to figure out what kind of animal it was, and they couldn't find any evidence of it. After pondering for a while and eliminating other theories, they finally decided the animal that clawed the giant caves actually has ties to a living creature. In the beginning, the popular theory that the animals were giant ground sloths began to stick. The giant sloths would have died out around 9,000 years ago and were similar, yet very different from the modern-day tree sloth. However, not everyone agreed with the giant sloth theory. Some believed it was something much different. As scientists continued to study the caves, they began to believe that it was actually giant armadillos that burrowed these caves rather than giant sloths. The theory began to take traction because armadillos are better adapted to create caves like this than the sloth. To analyze the armadillo theory, even more scientists measured the size of modern-day armadillos and their burrows to try to match the dimensions of their giant cousins. What they found arose even more questions as to the size, even for the giant sloths, just didn't add up. It turns out the caves they found were much too large for the giant armadillos of our past. Number 7. Team Stumped. One of the team members, Heinrich Frank, spoke to Discover magazine about why the caves couldn't have come from either animal. So, if a 90-pound animal living today digs a 16 by 20 foot burrow, what would dig one 5 feet wide and 250 feet long? There's no explanation. Not predators, not climate, not humidity. I really don't know. The mystery continued to bring more questions than answers. The giant caves proved to be rather interesting because they were bigger than any known creature would have needed for protection. It's almost as if people dug them out using specific tools, but of course, the timeline for the creation of the caves is way off. This mystery has even the most experienced completely puzzled. They were now facing more challenges than ever, considering they now had the difficult task of determining the age of the caves. Although they thought they had a rough estimate, it was time to try to narrow down the specifics if they ever wanted to have a chance of solving the mystery. They had to start somewhere, so they began studying the creatures left behind. As if all the baffling questions thus far haven't confused scientists enough, there was one last question haunting the team that discovered these wonderful yet mysterious burrows, and it has caught the attention of many. The geographical location of the burrows is perhaps the most perplexing element of the whole discovery, because it's what makes them so unique. They haven't found any other burrows like this on Earth, not even in the nearby surrounding areas. The unique qualities of these burrows continue to fuel many people into studying these wonders. Although no paleo burrows have been found in other places, the new interest in their origin will hopefully bring about new discoveries and information on our planet's evolutionary history.